Two big needle movers to talk about. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Get that bell notification button turned on now. But two big needle movers in the Premier League title race to jump into. First, we're going to come to Liverpool. We're going to come to Isak. The terms that have been agreed there in just a moment. But, because it's an important update, but Chelsea have signed Hato. And we spoke about this earlier today on my main channel, the Football Terrace. By the way, if you guys are not subscribing to my main channel, the Football Terrace, go and get that done. Just search Football Terrace, the Football Terrace. You'll see it. Come and subscribe. I know a lot of you are enjoying this, but come and see it. My main channel there as well. But Hato has joined Chelsea. And looking at the reaction online, and I always like to do that. I like to read what people are saying. There is a, come on, good deal. But it's sort of been met for me in a little bit of an underwhelming way. And that's me reading some big Chelsea accounts, some big Chelsea fan accounts. I kind of looked, and not even too many of the big Chelsea channels went live with this breaking news. I actually couldn't. I was at the gym, and I was walking the dog, and I was with my kids. So I couldn't go live when the news broke. I thought, some Chelsea channels, will I go and check out what they spoke about? And there was nothing. And I was a little shocked by this. And I was shocked by this because I think this is a signing that is so underrated. It's a little bit of an underrated masterclass here. He's a player that I've seen Liverpool and Arsenal fans predominantly over the past 2 to 3 years talk about a lot, if I'm being honest, about the talent, the ceiling, the versatility, the technical ability, and what he would bring to their respective football clubs. And I'm not sure whether or not it's because some Chelsea fans wanted a more experienced defender along with a more experienced goalkeeper to maybe truly solidify their belief that they will challenge and maybe even win the Premier League in the 25-26 campaign. Maybe that's it. And I get that and I understand it to a certain degree. But I think this is such a phenomenal piece of business. I know the last time a 19, 20-year-old top-level defender left Ajax, he went to Juve and it just didn't work out. Went to Bayern, didn't work out. He's now at Man United, the Lit, and I think he's doing quite well. This is a different scenario, a different situation, a very different circumstance. He isn't going for the same level of money. He's not going in to be the main starting centre-back. Not that we're led to believe that. We're led to believe it's going to be a backup role, left-back and centre-back, but to challenge for the first-team role and to develop into one. And that's exactly what I think he's going to do. I believe he's going to give better strength in depth, not having to rely on the Badia Shields of this world, who are simply not of the level. I know he plays on the opposite side of defence, but Disasi as well. I mean, it's a massive step up in terms of the depth. But the ceiling of Hato is absolutely massive. He has, and all you've got to do is read scouting reports from the last 18 months. There are many in Dutch football, many in the Netherlands that believe this is the long-term future heir to Van Dijk's crown as being the main centre-back and the best centre-back within the Netherlands team. There is a fervent belief that he can reach those levels. And Chelsea have picked him up for under £40 million. And in a world where players, that most average players now are costing 30 and 40 and 50 millions, to buy such a young talent at such a good price is phenomenal work. So I don't just think Chelsea have bought a talent with high potential. They've also done a fantastic piece of business on a financial standpoint. Financially, it's so good because even if he doesn't quite work, so let's say it doesn't work out, there is sell-on potential due to his age, and they're probably going to make a profit, which means they can reinvest. And I know a lot of people in football bang on about, oh, I'm not an accountant, I don't care. You should care about the finances at your club. You should care about football finance. It would probably save a lot of people getting angry. The amount of times I see people scream and shout, how can Chelsea still be spending after what they've done? Just put aside selling some assets a moment. There's a young player today whose name now eludes me. They sold for £6 million. They bought him for 800,000. So they're buying an £800,000 player and selling him for £6. They're buying £10 million players and selling them for 20 million. This could even happen here. If it goes wrong, they've just gone and got 48 million for João Felix, who flopped. So, and he's flopped at multiple clubs. That's harder to sell. Imagine a young player like this. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece of business. I really, really do. But give me your views, give me your opinions in the comment sections below. Now, on top of that, look, I want to speak about Liverpool. We mentioned it the other day when Sasha Tavolieri broke the news that Liverpool had agreed personal terms. It went a bit quiet. People played it down. Now it's been stated by Plattenberg that there's personal terms are agreed in principle. That was then retweeted and shared by Fabrizio Romano. And I think Liverpool fans really feel that this deal is coming. It is very, very close indeed. And I'm starting to see the mainstream media really attack Liverpool. Why haven't they got a bid done yet? This isn't fair on Newcastle. Why are they dragging their heels? I think they're going at Liverpool because Liverpool had a brilliant summer. So they've got to try and find a way to knock them down a peg or two. But they're using similar tactics that they use with Man United. Why don't they just hurry up and get the deal done? I don't understand what they're doing. And it's so obvious what they're doing, but they're disrespecting football fans again. Liverpool are getting everything tied up so they don't get into a long, drawn-out public bidding war. They're selling players to help balance the books, which, again, will not be discussed in terms of how could they spend 400 million. Well, they're probably going to raise anywhere to between 100 and 200 million pound in sales. Now, I don't use net spend when it comes to players. So I won't look at a player that's bought for 100 million in 2020 and when he sold for 60 million in 2025 go, well, there's a net loss of 40 million. That isn't how clubs buy and account for players. They're seen as an asset during their time here, but they're amortized. And it's all their profit and loss is based on how much they owe essentially on that player that year. What they're either depreciating, paying off the asset via amortization, or physically paying out cash-wise for him still. So by the time you get into your fifth year, most of these deals are paid off. Therefore, if you sell him for 60 million and you don't owe any money on him, you don't need to depreciate him anymore, you don't need to amortize him anymore, then you're making a £60 million profit on that transaction because you don't owe anything. But when it comes to a direct summer in itself, again, I don't use the term net spend, but if you spend 400 million, but you bring 200 million in income, in terms of on your profit and loss, which is what it's all about, you're only spending, there's only going to be a loss of 200 million because the revenue has gone up by an additional 200 million pound through the sale of players. So it's very, very important to remember that. And I think the Liverpool are being attacked. I think they're being dragged over the coals because nobody saw this coming. And nobody saw this coming because the same media lied to us. The same media kept on telling Porkies that Isak would never push for a move. There's no intentions of letting him go. Don't believe all the nonsense stories that Liverpool want him. It's a non-starter. 3 years left on his deal. And you guys in the comments will write even more about that than I've mentioned. Turns out now that Isak was told that he could go. Or that Isak told people that he was going to be leaving. Liverpool have been working on this deal now for a number of months in terms of getting the player lined up. They obviously didn't know whether it would go through because Newcastle United could do what they're doing now, which is try and muddy the waters, push out lies via the media. And I do think that Newcastle have damaged their relationship with a number of journalists who now, these journalists now look like idiots because they've pushed out stories that have turned out not to be true. And Newcastle are going through a bit of amateur hour. And my mind has kind of changed towards them a little bit. I sort of viewed them losing Isak as something that wouldn't derail them too much. Not because of the player, but I looked at them as a very well-run club. And well-run clubs make good decisions. They have contingency plans in place. My mind is starting to change on that, based on what I'm now learning, based on what I'm now seeing. It isn't just a genius move by Liverpool. They've also destabilised. And whether you like hearing this or not, it's the truth. They have destabilised an upstart. They have destabilised a club that sees itself as the next big thing. It wants to overtake everybody. And Liverpool, I think, in the way that they've gone about this deal, they're not just going to take their best player away. They've destabilized the club. They've created a bit of a civil war between some of the fans in the club, journalists in the club, fans and journalists. They're lashing out. It's very venomous at the moment. And in fairness, when it comes to sport, all is fair and love and war in that way. It's no different to a fighter that tries to get into the head of his opponent or into the head of his camp to make them second guess themselves, make them fight and argue so that when he steps in the ring with that individual, he has an advantage. I feel like Liverpool have, and they may not have set out initially with that as their key motivator, but it certainly happened. It's a genius masterstroke that nobody saw and nobody's really talking about. And every time they miss out on another player, it becomes harder to get the next guy. It's going to push more players out to want to leave. And now that it looks very amateurish from Newcastle, I don't know if they'll get the same performances on the pitch next year. I was under the belief this would galvanise them. I don't think I believe that anymore. My mind has changed. Now, I could be wrong and you could tell me something completely different, and that's what the comment section is for. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you feel. Leave me your comments. Like and subscribe, though, please, people. Hit that bell notification button. And please go check out my main channel, The Football Terrace. We have great podcasts, great long-format content over there for you to enjoy as well. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.